Okay, so I've never actually watched this before, done a reaction video, so see how this goes.
As the demigod of chaos, I have a decree. Things are going to be silly, wacky even, fun and nice.
In the
Sometimes
not-so-distant
we'll be in
future,
tangible
the Gunpla
spaces,
Battle Simulator
other
has
times-
undergone many iterations in its history. It is
Okay,
about
that's
to begin
dark.
the next phase in its evolution.
Oh, chicken nugget, you dark boy, you. Think everything's okay, but nah, it's the void.
Thanks to cutting-edge AI, improved game terminals,
He wants
and
to be a
advanced
long
Gunpla scanning
boy today.
techniques, a new age of Gunpla has
And
arrived.
all of us are going to be able to
By
harmlessly
connecting to
warp
G-Base
the
remotely,
world's our
players can
playground.
now access the virtual world from their own devices, eliminating the need for large
Don't
arcades.
wanna.
Chicken is making his own rules. True chaos.
Gameplay is no longer just
I'm
about
sorry I
Gunpla
changed
battles.
you, Bezel.
Using their Gunpla as custom avatars, players can now meet
He does
online
not
to
deserve
chat
to be
and
changed
socialize.
back. Back to Bear Boy.
With this new social element,
You-
the program's popularity reaches unprecedented heights.
This isn't my true form.
The name of
anyhow,
this new
so-
simulator is Gunpla Battle Blaze,
Thank you guys
Beyond
for always
Borders,
being such
but
great
it is more
friends.
commonly known as
I
GB4.
hope you
Following
can
a
forgive
closed
me.
alpha,
Dude,
the
of
game is
course.
entering an
It's
open
okay.
beta test in
I still get to keep
preparation
my
for its
powers.
official launch. Despite being in the testing phase,
Yes!
it already has rabid support from its users and is expected to become a worldwide success.
That's how that should have happened. What in the... Ooh, what the fudge was that? Ugh. That's creepy. Very creepy indeed. Very creepy. I love Chicken Nugget. It's such a good show. Really started off, it was just cute little shorts. Now he's a demigod of chaos. Sounds like an anime. Oh, so cute. I kind of wish I could make my own peanut butter character. Or chicken nugget. Why did I say peanut butter? Chicken nugget character. Maybe that's what I should name it, peanut butter. I don't know what I'd make it, but it seems to fit. Everyone's named after a food. The bezel is a clock. I don't think that's an actual food. He's like the only character though. Because you're either a food or a drink. Because there's coffee, ice cream, french fry, cheeseburger, soda pop, slushy, chicken nugget, of course, hot sauces. Was hot sauce in there? I mean, he's not really his friend, but they're not enemies. Like, not a massive jerk anymore. I don't see hot sauce anywhere, so he may not be one of the friends. Because hot sauce is the squirrel.
Welcome.
I have no idea
This
what
is the
this
GB4 mission desk.
This abomination.
Is this your first time playing?
This is probably gonna be a really cute
Wonderful.
character.
Since you're
Usually
new to the
those are.
game, I'll give you a simple explanation of
adorable.
GB4's Advanced Battle Simulator, part system, and missions. Everything in GB4 starts
Alright,
with
so I
choosing
found a few
from
more
a variety
episodes
of
to watch, or
interesting and
videos to watch.
exciting
So let's
missions.
do this.
When deploying
Go
on
in order.
missions, players can earn
like
new
a good
parts by defeating
Good
enemies.
video.
You can then
Oh
improve those
man,
parts
Space
to grow
Marine 2
stronger
is a
over
reminder
time.
of what we lost.
When
Warhammer
first starting
40K's.
out, you can
Yeah,
only
so
select story
before we
missions.
actually get into this,
Other mission
I
types will become available
am
as
just
you
copying
progress.
Asmon Gold for my podcast
That's
from now. This is the
everything
Humble
you
Man
need to know for now.
podcast.
Make sure to check
I
the
haven't
online
said that
manual
yet, I
if you
don't
have any
think, so
further
thank you for
questions.
joining me.
Good
For I'm
luck.
just a humble man on the internet trying to make it for 10 years, and I have 7 subscribers. So I figured, like, fuck it, just do whatever I want now.
Hey there!
Have
This
fun
your
with
first
it.
time?
Thank you all for joining me, and let's see what this is.
Space Marine
Sorry to
2
pop up
oozes
out of
with
nowhere.
so much
You were just
masculinity
sorta
that I feel
wandering
like I've been in a
around, so I
desert
figured
for the
you were
last
new.
few years. That's fucking exactly.
I knew it!
His face, I'm like,
I'm
show me
Tal.
your O face,
I'm
man.
mostly an SD Gundam player, as you can see.
Oh, that's what it looks
I've
like.
been really
They are
getting
right.
into
This
GB4.
is like
So
most
you're
video
new
games
to the
I've
game?
seen lately
Nice to
are
meet
just
you.
woke garbage. I'm not a big fan of it. Like, I really am happy
Say,
with the last
you want to
few
do a
games
mission together?
came out this
I can
month.
give you
There
some
was Black
advice,
Myth Wukong.
seeing as it's your
Gundam
first
Breakers was
time.
pretty good. I'm
You
playing
in?
that a lot.
Okay, let's do
The
it.
Space Marine game they're talking
We'll
about
start
here.
off
is
nice
so
and
glad
easy.
video games
For
are
your first
on the
mission,
up and up.
let's just play
Because
through
we
the
did have a
tutorial
couple
level.
really bad ones with
It's super
Concord
low
and
pressure. They
Star
pretty
Wars
much made it
Outlaws.
so anyone can clear.
Neither of those games interest
I'm
me,
ready whenever
so
you are.
I didn't even attempt to play them. So
Yep, abso-fucking-lutely. Because remember, I played Metal Gear Solid Revengeance. I'm like, or Metal Gear Rising. I was like, I
All right,
forgot
let's start your
what it
first
was
mission.
like to be the
Just follow
target
guide
audience.
For now. I've done this one before.
I
so
totally
take your
forgot.
time.
And it reminded me. And then I played Space Marine 2, and it was like, yeah.
It has themes that nobody wants to go near anymore. For courage and honor, for brotherhood, for the Emperor.
Yep.
It's
Purge is. I'm still getting used to doing this, so I do feel a little awkward. But I was like, Purge, the Heretic, the Xeno, and the Mutant, the Heretic, and the Xeno. Trying to remember it. I love Warhammer. I watch a lot of Warhammer stuff. Izander and Code is a great podcast if you're trying to get into it. Their series on it's great. Once you get into it, Arch does some pretty good videos on lore. And then there's so many wonderful Warhammer YouTubers. In fact, I think one of the videos I have lined up for this podcast episode is a video on miniatures and painting.
so good. It's such a fun game. But the entire time while I was playing it, I couldn't help but shake this feeling of nostalgia. Like the game reminds me of something I've lost, something that we have lost.
Well, it's also the integrity and authenticity. I think that's another really big component that games used to have, that now it feels like it's very inauthentic.
You know, I used to play a lot of games. I still play a lot of games, but I used to play a lot more. Games were far more consumable.
I used to play a lot more video games in the past too, and I have an issue. A lot of games are just copies of other games. Like Gundam Breaker 4, I've been playing a lot of it, but it really feels like just a Gundam skin over Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, which is kind of how I felt about the Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker. It just felt like a copy. And a lot of anime games are kind of like that same game, just with a different skin on it. And a lot of AAA games are like that too. Just watching Assassin's Creed, it just looks like the same exact game with a different skin on it, same mechanics pretty much. I played Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and 3. And I loved those games, but 3 kind of, like, it felt... It was a great game, but I just had no interest in going any further in the franchise. And I have that same issue with a lot of modern games. Like, I play a lot of indie games because the AAA stuff just looks like shit. I don't think I've played a AAA game except for Elden Ring in the last 2 years. I'm trying to think of like before Elden Ring was the last AAA game I played. And I honestly can't think of it, but it's just, everything's just this cookie cutter bullshit that everyone kind of just churns out. Like there's this checklist of things they have to put in there, and I don't care about politics or anything like that. I just think it's so bland. It's like when you go and buy the store brand of a product. Is what it tastes similar enough to the good stuff, but you know it's still missing something. And over time it felt more like if you've ever gone to like a Dollar Tree or a dollar store, that's just even worse than like the big box store name brands. Like Walmart's Great Value is pretty good and it's pretty close, but if you go to Dollar Tree and get like their name brand, I don't remember. I think it's Clover's Dollar General. I can't remember what Dollar Tree's is, but it tastes so awful. Like, yeah, it's kind of similar, but it's just, the more we go through them, it's just, the AAA games all feel like it's getting to that dollar store brand crap. And I'm the type of person, I'd rather talk about things I like, and I just can't find something to talk about for YouTube videos, and I'm trying so hard to be positive, but I just can't, and I'm just like, fuck. And that's kind of why I'm copying Asmongold, because I love watching other YouTubers. I love drawing art and stuff, but it's just been a slog trying to figure out what to talk about. So I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna do what all my other favorite YouTubers do and just talk over other people's stuff. It worked for them.
Pick it up, I could put it down, I could enjoy it for a while, I could play it with my friends, and I could leave it and not feel guilty for doing so.
Yeah.
But we've gotten away from that. Space Marine 2 is one of those games. I picked it up, I've played it, I've enjoyed it, I've played it with some friends, I plan on playing more of it and doing some of the co-op and the PvE and all that good stuff, but
it doesn't have annoying fucking systems. It doesn't have daily quests as far as I know. It does.
Oh god, fuck, I hate that so much. Like, if I'm buying a game, I don't want to have to log in every day to play it. I hate that daily quest bullshit. It's in, like, free-to-play games, it's understandable. That's how they make their money. They get you to come in every day, and in order to progress, you have to buy stuff. My roommate plays Fortnite all the time. I think it's a pretty decent game. So many different game modes. Creativity out the wazoo. But whenever I buy a game, I don't want to have to log in every day. I want to play whenever I want to play. I want to play however long I want to play, and I just want to enjoy it. And fuck me to the moon with these daily fucking... Ooh, it's bullshit. I hate daily quests. I hate having to log in every day. I do not like doing it. I'm a very spontaneous person when it comes to my schedule. I don't want to have to do something every day. It drains me, and fuck games that have that, especially ones that you pay for.
Doesn't have a lot of like really weird shit. It just has an in-game system that plays well that you can do and advance your character. Like, and I think that a lot of people are tired of endless grinds, pointless cosmetics, like bullshit, you know, no swipe for cosmetics. Yeah. Like, especially the swiping for progression shit. Like, if a game has that, I will still play it, but I won't take it seriously and I won't care about it. There's no FOMO. It doesn't got season pass. I don't know if it has a season pass or not. I have no idea.
Exact same time, I'm not committed to it. I can walk away at any moment. And while you may say that's true for other games, I think that we've lost that feeling. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about my experience playing Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, but I want to talk about what we've lost. The middle ground. I love Space Marine 2. I love it so much that I've now spent hours upon hours watching lore videos from Bricky.
That looks cool.
And Wes Hammer on YouTube. I think the game is so good that while it's not going to be as widespread, it's going to have a similar impact as Baldur's Gate 3 did on Dungeons & Dragons. A well-crafted, well-delivered experience in a universe that you know little about. It's going to drive you to want to know more about it, to have context behind what you've seen, or to answer questions you have and push you to find more experiences to enjoy.
I think that one of the really big components to this that really says a lot is that some of the criticism of Space Marine 2 that I find to be incredibly valid is that there isn't enough of it. Like, there isn't a lot of variety of gameplay. Because if you actually look at like what the core gameplay is and how the game plays, I think that a lot of people really like this game. I think Space Marine 2 is also taking the role that Gears of War used to have. Like, basically the...
Yeah, I think he's right on that. I honestly haven't played this yet. It's on my GameFly list, so once I turn in the game I have now, it'll be probably the next game I play. Because I can't afford to buy every game I want. I'm poor. I'm literally on disability. I'm the lowest income denominator, but I still try. I just like the massive amount of enemies and how badass you feel. It's just, and it screams Warhammer. Like, it just looks so good. I remember my brother used to have Dawn of War 2 on the computer right out of, he got out of BASIC in 2013, I think it was. Oh, no, not 2013, 2009, my bad. And he let me, he was going to let me play it, but we couldn't get it to work on our computer. But I got to watch him play it. It looks so cool. And I always wanted to be, like, in there shooting the people. Like, because you get all these armies fighting each other in RTS. But I've always liked the idea of having that. But you actually get to take control of a character and get into that mess. I love swarm games like Vampire Survivor. In Warframe, I love the swarm mechanic where you're surviving as long as you can.
Ooh, those are
killing
some
as
nice
many
parts.
enemies. You gotta
Looking
pick up
better already.
the
In
oxygen
GB4,
packs. I don't know
each
what
mission
it's
helps you
called,
earn more
but
parts.
that's a lot of fun.
Then
and
you
I
can
just
use
love
those
going
parts
through
to
hordes of
improve your
enemies.
build.
Makes me feel like a badass.
The
and
more
I just love
missions you
video games
play,
like that,
the more
so.
parts you earn, and the
I've never
stronger you
played Gears
get.
of War,
The
but I keep hearing
customization is
people
half the
reference it, and
fun.
it makes sense.
And there are all
Well, I haven't
kinds
played
of
it, I have
missions
seen
to
it,
try.
and
Story
they're pretty
missions,
bulky
quests,
guys, and they go through
bounties.
these,
Oh,
I think they're
and there are
locusts,
special limited
are
time
what they're
events
called.
too. So there's always something to try. Just keep
bug
doing the
enemies
story
in
missions for
Gears of
now,
War, so
and
Tyranids
additional
kind of
types will
fit
unlock
that, and
as you progress.
I can
Sorry,
see it, so.
I was babbling.
People that were like, I don't know about you guys, how many of y'all play Gears 1 through 3, and you also played Space Marine 2? And you were like, yeah.
Anything else?
Absolutely, right? 100%.
The GB4 lobby has desks for the
Space Marine 2 is an improvement over its predecessor, but
so it's the same thing I said with Dragon's Dogma 2, is that an indicator of a good game is that the primary criticism of the game is that there isn't more of it.
You can talk to them
if you played that game or not, it's a great introduction to the 40K universe. It's grotesque and ugly, yet beautiful and fascinating. It's merging of man and machine, fantasy and reality on a scale that leaves you awestruck.
Yeah.
Scale. Now that's a word this game embodies. I cannot tell you how many times I slow walked through areas, panning the camera around, drinking in this.
Could you imagine playing this while listening to some church organ music and like the Halo choir, just yeah, I know I suck at singing, but I just would love to just like maybe on the second playthrough just have some like nice hymn music playing just in the background. Oh, that'd be so sweet.
Scale and brutality of war.
Yeah, because it's awesome. It looks really cool. I mean, that's really all there is to it. Like, this is basically like, and what you guys need to remember is that this used to be StarCraft. Like, StarCraft used to have this same vibe, and then they decided to...
Well, the reason for that is that StarCraft was originally going to be a Warframe game, but they couldn't get the rights to it, so they had to change the name and make it their own thing.
Basically, we'll stop making StarCraft. The game has weight? Yeah, it feels like you're moving around in like this massive suit of armor, etc. Yeah.
Gears of War number of enemies, the warring factions in the distance. It made it an experience that could only be described as a meat grinder. Countless waves of Astra Militarum thrown against unrelenting hordes of Tyranids.
And I feel like it's also really well designed in a way that like Helldivers 2 was really well designed. In that you always feel like, I don't know about you guys, maybe it's just because I suck, but I always feel like I'm hanging on by a thread. Like I'm always one hit, I'm always no armor, half health, like I'm always barely hanging on, and it feels like it's very gripping in that way.
Yeah, because like at any moment you could be killed, and I feel like that's like the almost opposite of like these badass characters I was talking about earlier, how you're just so overpowered, you're slaughtering enemies. Because then it feels like it's really just you're trying to survive moment to moment, you're barely hanging on, but you're somehow making it through. And I think that actually works really good with the Imperial Guard with Warhammer 40k, because they're literally like the strategy is just keep going at them. You die, you gunk up at their machine, and it's just grinding through and killing them by having just overwhelming numbers. And it's just crazy. Like I feel like that'd be a really fun game to play as Imperial Guard. So maybe even when you die, it's almost like Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, where you have a number of troops and you just keep hopping back to like the next Imperial Guard, until they're all dead or you win. That'd be pretty awesome to see a game like that. I don't think it would work as well if it copied Battlefront exactly, but having a respawn mechanic like that in a Warhammer game would be freaking awesome for the Imperial Guard.
It's always a spectacle, yeah. You're fighting for your fucking life,
like
exactly.
Disposable distractions, while we Space Marines cut through them like a hot knife through butter. So many games want to be big rather than feel big, and Space Marine 2 feels larger than life. The narrative and the atmosphere of this game are immaculate. Saber Interactive have made one of, if not the best, adaptations of Warhammer 40k.
Well, it's also like the characters in the game, and I'm sure he'll talk about this more, but like I have to say that like the characters in this game are phenomenal. And one of the reasons why is that they're all flawed. Like, for example, Gadriel is, you know, like very untrusting and he's uncertain. But if you look at it from his perspective, it makes sense why he's untrusting. Chiron, like, gets upset. He got really mad at the Chaos Space Marines. And then, you know, like, every character is flawed, but they accept their responsibility and duty, and they try to work beyond that, right? So, like, they have a disagreement, and then they go and they just keep moving forward. You know, they have flawed protagonist. Oh, it's a flawed protagonist that's flawed in a way that isn't self-indulgent and annoying. Like, basically...
Honestly, I would say, like, the opposite of that would be, like, Rey from Star Wars, because they kind of try to give her flaws, but she was always, like, perfect in any way. I hated that character. I hated her. I really wanted Finn to be the Jedi of that series. Like, Stormtrooper turned Jedi. Like, that would be fucking awesome. And, like, why not have multiple Jedi? Why couldn't they all just be Luke's new students? Rey, Finn, and Poe. Like, that would be fucking awesome. And they all have to, like, come together and be, like, a group. Just wishing for what could have been.
It's real shit. Yeah, exactly. And, like, the thing is, like, Chiron and Gadriel, they had good points. They were. It's not like... and it wasn't painted as if, like, this was a one-dimensional thing. At all. Like, Anduin's, yeah, they were well-written, interesting characters that had, like, their own motives and, like, goals. It's a sign of good writing. Yeah, exactly. Gadriel was a bit fanatical, though. I don't think he was. I think that what he said made sense. Like, oh yeah, we have this new guy that's coming on board. This guy's been around for 200 years. There's nothing in his past. Like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he our leader now? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it wasn't fanatical at all. Yeah, I think Chiron was more fanatical. Absolutely. And also, like, here's another good example. Look at that, and look how fucking badass that is, and compare that to Khadgar's blue bitch boy wheelchair in World of Warcraft. And you want to know what's really funny about this? Is that at the end of the story, like, they had to, like, each one of them had to, like, turn something using their hands. Guess who had the least trouble doing it? Fucking Chiron. You know why? Because he's got a robot fucking arm.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason. And it was...
He's 1/5 a dreadnought at this point. The entombed coffin mechs.
It was like, yeah. And like, I didn't even really notice it. Spoiler? Oh, no, that's not a spoiler. That's just what it was. And so, yeah, it's like, it's a representation of, like, disability and any sort of, like, diversity in a way that's completely positive, and it enhances the story and makes it better.
On the battle barge, the ships and weapons, the character adaptations, roles within ranks, how characters interact with one another, the scale of war in the background, the blood, the viscera, the music, and the voice acting, all of it is near perfect. From a visual and audio perspective, I felt like I was in this war and in this universe. I took every chance I could to listen to audio logs or eavesdrop on passing conversations, speeches, and sermons, all of them, because I was starving for the next bit of lore to add to my experience, and I think that's a byproduct of the main cast of characters' performances, or in the case of Space Marine 2, the lack thereof.
Yeah.
Titus and company are not the most talkative bunch, and they shouldn't be. They're Marines. It's all about the mission and killing their enemies and serving the Emperor, not their personal thoughts, opinions, or feelings. Over the last few years, it feels like...
I think that also, like, they do share their personal thoughts, opinions, and feelings for, like, 3 seconds, and then it's like, yeah, I don't know about this one, Captain. He's like, yep, we'll talk about it later. All right, you ready? They're like, yes, for the Emperor. And that was it. It's not the fact that they don't talk about it, it's the fact that they don't indulge in it.
Every modern game and television show or movie, they're all allergic to stoicism. They can't allow characters to be silent. They need a character to be complicated, to have feelings, and to need to talk about those feelings, because...
I love the allergic to stoicism component. I do. I love that. Holy fuck, is it true? Absolutely.
For a second there, I thought he was like, he loved those stories. I'm like, Aspen, you complain about this all the time. I was like, yeah, I genuinely feel the same way. Like, it's just, I don't need. It's like the CW shows where they all stand around and just talk about their feelings. I fucking hate it so much.
They don't know how to tell a great story without words. I can't help but feel if this game came out from a major AAA studio, Titus would have multiple monologues in front of a mirror backed by a licensed My Chemical Romance soundtrack. Brother Gadriel would be the comic relief, and Chiron would be the true villain all along, but don't worry, he's not...
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, cookie cutter shit. It's all just the same cookie cutter, mass-produced, same old, which is with a new skin on it. Bullshit.
That bad. He's just fighting the system that separated him and his sister because, well, they wouldn't allow her to carry out her dream of being a space marine, and now he's vowed to tear down the system. Cut to a scene of him dying in Titus's arms in the rain. Titus crying out, wishing the world was different. That's one of the first things that I know.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Modern writing, it is. It's so...
Preaching to the choir right here. That is so fucking right. I bet you anything. He's right. He's right.
It's so self-indulgent. It was so fitting. Yeah, how does he know?
Is that it was simple characters, simple story. Even in cutscenes, there really wasn't a lot of dialogue. There was no long...
somebody, yeah, good point. You forget the millennial quips. You know, like epic win and... You know, I can't even imagine what they could do in 40K that would sound cringe. I can't imagine it, but I'm sure they could invent something. Yeah, the constant humor. Yeah. Serious situation happens, and there's some sort of, like, comic relief for it.
On-out exposition or anything of that nature. Even in the scenes where characters were showing some doubts or suspicions of Titus... It was all drowned out almost immediately.
It was.
Because think about it. Thoughts, opinions, feelings, this stuff is heresy. These are space marines.
Yeah.
Any humanity they have is buried under 2,000 pounds of armor, genetic enhancements and manipulation, body enhancements, and, well, faith in the Emperor.
Most importantly.
Over the last few years, games have really dove into this idea of telling simple stories through complex characters. There's no such thing as just a regular villain anymore. All of them are...
The problem is not that they have complex characters. The problem is that their idea of a complex character is a self-indulgent loser that doesn't have any charisma. That's the reason why. Like, I remember, like, I had to read The Catcher in the Rye, and I hated that book so much. And I feel like the reason why I hated the book is because I thought the main character...
Okay, I want to go back to what you were saying about the self-indulgent character. It's either that or they make them... They're a villain, essentially, but they pretend that they're the hero. I can't stand this. It happens all the time where they're doing something extremely fucked up and evil, yet they play it off like they're the big hero and they did something morally correct. And
we just have to defeat each wave of enemies.
Stand it. This
same
is
as
a huge,
last time.
huge problem in a lot of
simple.
Disney stuff recently, in my opinion. I've pretty much sworn off most modern media because I'm just done with it.
Got you.
I just wanted to say that really quick. I don't know about the Catcher in the Rye stuff. I never read the book. Thank God I didn't have to in school because it doesn't sound like it's something I'd be interested in.
or like Holden Caulfield or whatever, was the biggest simp loser pussy bitch that I had ever, like, it's just such a loser. Like, and that's it. Holden's a piece of shit. Yeah, he's a loser bitch. And I don't want to read that. I don't want to see that. That's, and I bet the people that fucking write stuff like, Dustborn or whatever, they love that. They think that's great. Me too.
I think there was actually, I know the book doesn't necessarily, or fans of the book doesn't necessarily mean, if you are a fan of that book, it doesn't necessarily mean you're bad, but I remember, I'm pretty sure, that one of the Beatles was killed by a man who loved Catcher in the Rye. Let's just Google this really quick.
Let's do the next one.
I probably misspelled that name. Oh yeah, the Catcher in the Rye.
Once we clear these guys, it's time for the boss fight. I can't wait. Wait, what's that?
Reading of the Catcher in the
Is
Rye.
someone else here already?
Copies of
Can you join an
really
in-progress
signed,
battle in this
crazy.
mode?
The fuck?
Oh man,
Yeah,
you're
I mean-
getting stomped.
Just because you're a
What should we
fan of
do,
the book
buddy?
doesn't mean you're fucked up in the head.
You really want to go help them?
Because it's that same argument that
Seriously?
I've heard 1,000 times in the past
All right.
about how
If you're sure,
if you're a fan of
I'm
Grand Theft
right
Auto, you're gonna
behind
go
you.
commit crimes or bullshit. I hated that, but it is just one of those weird things where like he's talking about Captain the Rye and these weirdos who like evil shit, and it just reminded me of this person who killed John Lennon. So, yeah, I was right. Fucked up dude.
So it was so bad? Yeah, it's so unlikable.
Victim of circumstance more than anything else. They have tragic ill, and we need to empathize over, rather than just being a bad guy and good guys being good guys. Though, to be honest, Warhammer, I mean, everybody's kind of an asshole, so it doesn't really matter
Well,
that much.
it's that everything is presented in a way that has too much of a direct correlation to real life social issues. I think that's something else that people know. The world's black and
I don't
white.
think that's
Well,
anyone to
I
talk
think
to the people
also
who just
like
helped you.
having complex characters is a good thing, and some of the best characters are always complex characters.
You saw
However,
that?
the complexity falls apart when it's
guess
being
you
done
did
by a
eventually
person
do the right
who
thing,
doesn't
though, which
understand
means
what
I owe
actual
you.
like
So,
I don't know how to say this. Like,
Lynn, you're
you can't
cow?
write cool characters
I
if you're
guess
not
you guys
cool.
aren't all bad.
And I don't think that the people that are
Is
writing a
this
lot
your
of the new
first time
characters and
playing
stories
GB4?
now are very cool. I think
Yeah,
they're
I'm still
not
getting the
interested.
hang of the controls and everything.
I would kind of
Is this
disagree
your
here
first
with him.
mission
I think
too?
you need to at least
Oh, no.
have an idea of
I've
what
been playing
cool
for a while.
is.
It's his
Like
first
maybe
time,
just
though.
someone you're basing it off of, or something like that. And I think he's
I'm
right
the
on
most
that because
experienced,
you
so
really
I'll take
can't
point.
write or make
Try to
art
keep
about
up.
something
The
you
boss
don't know
fight is
about.
next.
So if you
Bosses can be pretty
don't surround
huge,
yourself with
so
someone
don't
who's
be
cool, you
scared.
don't know who anyone
Here
who's
we go.
quote unquote cool, you're not going to be able to write
Is
or
he
interpret
always this
that.
cocky?
Because a lot of art comes from what you've perceived. In fact, almost every art I've ever seen, you actually need to watch or look at someone else's art first to copy and learn from that. Whether it's music or drawing or animation, you always start by copying someone else and then slightly tweaking it here and there, and then eventually you can use your own imagination to go from there, and then you can tweak your creations from scratch. And if you're not looking at something that's good or interesting, whenever you do that, or you've never experienced something like that in any way, you're not going to be able to produce anything of quality that matches your definition of cool. So I don't necessarily think you need to be cool, you just need to be around someone who is. That's just a little bit, I disagree.
You're saying they're kind of boring, and they just don't really have a lot of interesting insight into how to make a character interesting.
I thought you'd face bosses before,
Yeah, no
Cal.
flaws. I don't know.
Shouldn't you be used to this?
Talentless freaks. Well, self-indulgent. Yeah, I
It's
think
just- Look at that thing.
that's in my opinion the worst part of it.
What happened
Is
to
the self-indulgence.
But it's just gotten to the point now where they think that they're trying to do something theatric,
Yeah.
but in the end, all they're doing is giving stories that are uninspired and completely predictable. They're doing the same as everybody else is doing. Space
Yeah, it's like
Marine,
how many games recently have had like a story where it was the good guys that were actually bad and the bad guys that were actually good. And there's like always like some sort of like I'm thinking of Diablo 4 primarily, and there's always some sort of like parallel to like Christianity or like some sort of like church. I find it to be very, very just exhausting to see this same trope be used over and over. It's like, okay, your parents made you go to church whenever you were a kid. Do we have to relive this trauma with you too?
Yeah, that's kind of like what I've been seeing. And I think it's similar to another issue I have with media is whenever one thing does good, this happens in anime a lot, where one genre became really popular, and then everyone else has to have something similar. recently I've noticed, like I was just talking with my friend last night about how there's a lot of magic anime now. There's Mashal that came out. There's Jujutsu Kaisen. They use sorcery, using emotions. There's Black Clover, and then there's this new one. It's a sword and sorcery type anime, where he has no magical powers. He uses a sword, and he has a friend who has some classes and dogmas to wear. There was a lot of. There was this one I really liked on High Dive that there are guys slaying a whole bunch of dragons in the middle of some apocalypse, or like he's trying to prevent the apocalypse, so these dragon stars went back in time in his own body or something, and he was killing them. And then there's a whole bunch of like all these magical based anime right now. And before, like in the early 2000s, it was mech anime when Gundam was really big. I saw a lot of 90s and early 2000s. So there was Gundam, and there was Big O, and then there was IGPX, which is a racing mech anime, which is interesting. And there was, and it's like whatever is big at the time, everyone seems to follow, and then eventually just get burned out of it. And I have a feeling like these story plots are the same thing. It's not necessarily that people want to make it; it's more that it's what's popular right now, so everyone's making it. We're just finally done with it. Although some of us never enjoyed that type of story to begin with.
Come on. It's lazy and lame. Yeah, it's so heavy-handed.
2 is a game of few words.
Try to make the Jedi bad guys. Yeah, exactly.
And it feels damn fun to play. I love making reviews like this because it gives me the opportunity to help my viewers get to know me a little bit better. So I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. I love third-person shooters. I love the perspective, the aiming, the way it makes melee combat look and feel. I have thousands of hours across the entire Gears of War franchise, especially Gears of War 1. Canals and Mansion were my MLG-level slaughterhouse. Space Marine 2 takes me back to those days.
Yeah.
The chaos of the overwhelming enemy numbers, the gore on screen at every moment, the slow and methodical movement and firing.
That's also another really big component that this game doesn't have, is that it's not designed to be played like an MLG quick-scoping game. And I think that's something that a lot of like average players are kind of like getting exhausted from. Is that like every time a new video game comes out, like I'll give you a good example of this, like on Twitter. And so, let me see if I can find it. This is something I saw earlier, I think it was like yesterday. DS4 plus Windows plus new buff Black Ops. Movement is making 9 to 5 old heads rage. They think I'm cheating. 9 to 5 old heads. Watch the way this person is playing. That means people that have jobs.
Ah, fudge, I hate this.
What trouble will this cause?
Ugh.
Right.
Jesus.
Bro, I'm gonna get car sick.
Right? Oh, my eyes.
Yep, this looks retarded. What I'm saying is, like, the people like this, what they do is they increase the skill cap for the game massively, and they contrive the meta for the design of the game in that direction. And games like Space Marine don't have that problem as much because of how much...
Okay, I'm sorry. I just need to stop. Like, all the noise in my eyes. I probably should have stopped a few seconds before that. I was hoping he would get to his point so I could pause it between. He's probably right at the end of his point. But
That boss was a curveball, but we
how does
pulled it
anyone
off.
play that? Like, my eyes hurt just from watching that
Talk
like
a big
few
game,
seconds.
But all you did was run away. I thought you
much slower they are. So what ends up happening is that, like, you have these games that become like super hardcore, super fast.
Was actually my first
And when you
multiplayer
have that
mission.
happen, so much unnecessary
I'm
movement,
not the
yeah,
best
they're
at
trying to make COD
battling.
Apex.
I
Exactly,
was
yeah,
too scared
literally
to make my
WoW.
own
Yeah, there's a
team
huge
or
skill gap now.
join some
And
other
so now
clan
people
and-
don't experience and they can't play the game with each other in the same way.
So you're basically a beginner
Make you
too?
feel
Kills
like
the
you're
fun.
a
It does.
bipedal tank.
Listen,
firing
guys, I'm
weapons,
sorry.
using
I was
grenades,
acting
jumping
like I
in
knew
the
what I
air,
was
and
talking
slamming
about.
down on enemies.
Can you
It
forgive
all
me?
felt incredible. I still remember the wave of third-person shooters
Oh,
back in the
thanks.
late and early
You really did great,
2000s
though.
when it was a fad for developers, but it was a fad
maybe
because
the three of
players
us should
loved
do
it. And I
another
think the
course.
reason why we loved it so
If we're
much
all
is
new,
just
we can
because
learn
we could
together.
see that much more. First-person perspectives are
Yeah, that's a good
restrictive,
idea.
limited, and tunnel vision.
Oh,
In third
hey.
person, you can take in all of your
Why don't we
surroundings,
make a
react to
clan?
what's happening next to you or behind you.
A clan?
Drink
My
it-
opinion is like between first person and third person. I think that there's advantages
Oh,
and
that's
disadvantages
great.
to each one.
It's when you form a team of people who all play
I do.
together. They group up for missions and events and stuff.
I would agree with him, especially if you want to
Sure,
really
I
immerse
guess that
yourself.
sounds
First
pretty
person
handy.
is fantastic
Hold
when you
on,
need
let
to
me
feel
take a
like
look.
you are that character. And games like Skyrim does
Okay,
a really
I
good
sent you
game,
both friend requests.
job with
Now
that.
you
And
add
Fallout's
me.
Okay. Wait, can Fallout be third person?
There. Now you can message me the next time you
And
go on a mission.
I do think that's really good, but
Thanks
sometimes
again for
you
today.
are right. You get tunnel vision. You can't quite see as many enemies, and I would even say it's almost like having third person is almost like having the Byakugan in Naruto.
Whoa,
You can see
she
way
really
more
doesn't stick around,
behind
does
you.
she?
You still have a bit of a blind spot in the back of your head, and I've always seen that as like a really cool idea for a mechanic where you get like special eyes or special powers to then allow you to see in third person and fight better. I love designing video games and stuff. I've actually learned how to make one recently, and I'm still like, it was just one of those kits that you kind of just copy people and do what they tell you to. But I'm slowly learning stuff, and it's a lot of fun. Hopefully, I can release a game soon. But shit, I forgot what he was talking about. It's a side tangent. I'll just get back to watching his.
Well, I mean, I kind of like third person more in a way, but there's things that I don't like about it. Yeah, I mean, I really couldn't say that I really agree or disagree with this. Yeah.
In the immensity of the game, all the while playing it more tactically. In games like Space Marine 2 or Gears of War, I feel like I'm playing chess with a mobile wood chipper.
Yeah.
I'm shooting an enemy, I'm pushing forward, I'm going to execute this one, turn around, throw a grenade over here, switch my weapons, use melee on this group, switch back to melee, pick up that ammo over there.
One thing that it reminds me of is like, so I always really, really, really like the combat of Dark Souls 1. And the reason...
Oh god, I love Dark Souls 1. I played that to hell and back. It's one of my favorite games on my Xbox.
Why is that it played so
Side tangent,
slow
sorry.
and it was so methodical. And it's the same reason why I like the combat in like Dragon's Dogma and I like the combat in Monster Hunter, especially with like the greatsword, is that everything felt very slow and methodical and planned. And I think that obviously it doesn't feel like there's that big of a skill gap, even if there is. And like you can watch somebody play Monster Hunter who's like, you know, really, really good at it. You'd realize like, wow, there is a big skill gap here. I'm actually garbage. But at the same time, a person can still feel good about playing the game, even if they don't have like a very high level of skill, because you do occasionally get those big hits. It's got more weight to it. Exactly. Yeah, it does. And it's not hyper fast, hyper reaction based and everything.
And then move to the final group. Every combat scenario feels like a dance of death and carnage as I carve my way through every enemy encounter and reach my goal.
Yeah.
My only real criticism of the game is that the dodge and parry mechanics, as well as ally NPC AI, seem to completely interrupt that flow. While I understood the goal that they were going for...
I don't really like the parry mechanic in this game. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And like, so, like I feel like parries interact differently with each other. Like the same types of mobs do different parries. So yeah, I'm not really a big fan of it either. Skill issue? Well, yeah, I mean, as I get better at the game, I would understand it more. But I just feel like it's harder to understand, and it doesn't really make sense because like there's different parry timings for each one.
Or the combat.
Better in
always felt a
operations,
bit
you unlock
foreign.
fencing weapons. Yeah,
I
maybe.
really enjoyed pairing small enemies that were about to jump on me. It was really satisfying to see me kill them. But some markers would show while others wouldn't.
Right.
And since there isn't any animation canceling on higher difficulties, any mistakes that you make are punished heavily.
Yeah, you're
accidentally parrying when you need to dodge, even if there's enough time for you to be able to react to your mistake before the enemy's attack resolves, you won't be able to because you're still in the animation of parrying or using a melee.
Yep.
This wouldn't be as taxing if the ally NPC,
Which is a good thing, by the way, because it makes it more methodical.
the AI was moderately helpful, but I always find them shooting at enemies that haven't even hit the battlefield yet. They're completely useless when you're defending objectives. They stand still after they stun an enemy, and ultimately they serve as no distraction or help when you're being
I'm
attacked.
gonna be honest. I was down bad so much playing this game, I didn't even notice the AI. I didn't even know what they were doing. Because I was like one hit from death, trying desperately to stay alive. I didn't even notice them.
Attacked by vast waves of enemies. I say I know what they were going for here because, one, you're a space marine, not an acrobat, and two, the game is obviously tuned for multiplayer and not single player. Once you have one or two friends in the group, the game transforms. The pace evens out. Any major issues that you have seem to disappear immediately. I'm reminded of the times back from 2004 to 2010 where you would go out to buy games specifically just to play with friends.
Oh man, that reminds me so much of like Halo 3 and ODST. The only game I ever did a collector's edition on was Halo Reach, and man, I love that game. That was such fun because I bought it, and I honestly didn't have any friends I played with online, but we had a gaming group at the library where we would go and have they'd have 3 different consoles. They have a PS3, a Wii, and an Xbox 360 with different games you can choose from to play. And I remember playing Halo 3 on that Xbox 360 with so many people. Back then, like, one of the big things you got called, if you were like really good, like you were a beast, and I am horrible with slang. I thought they were calling me a name like so badly, like, no, you're beasted, man. I'm like, what the fuck does any of that mean? Leave me alone. I don't know people. I just want to play. It was so much fun though. I learned how to play Magic the Gathering at those places too, and I do miss video games that had like that local co-op stuff and like split screen. Yeah, it just sucks that nowadays it's all online only, and there's very little single player thought put into most games. In fact, that's one of my biggest problems with Gundam Breaker 4 is it feels like 90% of the game you have to be online for, and I do not have online membership for my PlayStation. I don't like playing with other people online. I like when I play a video game, I want to play by myself and have fun. You know, occasionally I will play with other people, like I was just saying, but games are my thing to do by myself. So I definitely do miss having the ability to go play with other people sometimes.
Army of Two, Kane and Lynch, Halo, Gears of War, Resident Evil 5, The Club, these social co-op experiences that are best enjoyed either on the couch or online with friends or co-workers.
Yeah, I think Halo campaign is probably the best example of that for me. Like, I remember growing up, playing the Halo campaign was huge.
My friend hop in and play.
Yeah, I loved it.
Played a game like this in a really long time, and it was like nothing changed. We bantered back and forth, making fun of one another, broing out over cutscenes, communicating strategies, and jokingly role-playing as we cut through waves of enemies. This is one of the reasons why I believe Helldivers 2 blew up when it did, because so many games are competitive now. Hell,
well, it captures an aesthetic, and it captures a vibe, and I think that, again, like in the same way that Star Wars Outlaw had like negative aura, I think Helldivers and Space Marine 2 have positive aura. And that aura attracts people because the environment just feels fun.
Almost all of media is so polarized and oppositional that you can't even escape it in the first place. And as such, I think it's starting to begin this growing hunger within players and within consumers where they want things that are a little bit more leaning into the side of community and camaraderie more than anything else, because you're not really finding that anywhere else. I think this is...
Well, a lot of people, like, you have to keep in mind that a lot of people that are playing online multiplayer games want to have social experiences. That's why they're playing an online multiplayer game. So if you have a game that's an online multiplayer game and it doesn't create a sense of camaraderie and a sense of shared space, why is it an online multiplayer game? What's the point?
Yeah, I think Warframe actually did pretty good. Whenever you play like with random people, it kind of sucked. But whenever you got like a group of friends together, you got 4 of you playing, pretty good. I liked doing that. That's one of my favorite things I did during Warframe. I played a long time ago now, though. Something about the game I just kind of petered out. Even all my friends did. But I remember doing Warframe, and I know that's still an ongoing thing, and it's out there, so it's pretty fun.
By and large, in part due to AAA's push into live service, they all want to make their money printing machine, and we all know that competitive games seem to be the best at doing that. But with that said, I just really haven't seen a lot of games that have done anything like this over the last few years, and more games are getting away from this cooperative nature and cooperative play. I mean, think about it. Halo 5 and Halo Infinite didn't even have couch co-op or split screen. Halo, of all games.
Honestly, I stopped after Halo 4. I never played 5 or Infinite. It just didn't feel like the same game. Like, 4 was so awful. I couldn't believe it. Because the final boss was a QTE, a quick time event. And it just sucked. I really wish I could have just shot the dude. Or, like, I remember in Halo 3 we battled this giant locust for the first time. And I may have said the wrong word there. I'm not sure. It's a purple tank thing. You got to kill all the guys on it, jump inside it, kill them. It was fantastic. I loved it. It was like this mini boss fight. And I wish the final boss there had been something similar. It really sucked. And I just kind of killed
Mind you,
Halo
that's 343, and that's a whole other problem in and of itself. But
I don't know how Microsoft hasn't fired that whole studio. I'm sorry. How is it that you can take the flagship product, Halo, like that? They literally named their AI assistant Cortana. Halo is Xbox. How do you let someone make 3 bad games? They can't keep getting away with it? Yes.
with that said, Space Marine 2 just feels like a pure video game. Unpolluted. There's no drawn out exposition. It's not trying to put me on long grinds or chases or anything like that. It's just calling back to something that I think that we've lost and we haven't had for a long time. And
it feels like a game that came out in 2010.
Just good, dumb fun.
Yep.
That's it. Space Marine 2 isn't trying to do anything that hasn't been done. It's just a simple and fun video game. While there are definitely some examples in recent memory, I can't help but shake the feeling that we just don't get a whole lot of games like this anymore. Sure, part of it's likely due to the industry's overwhelming push into live service, a trend that I think is being bucked by the most successful games over the past
That's the Dreadnought I was talking
few
about.
years.
Well, also, like, there are live service components of Space Marine 2, and that's a good thing because people like the multiplayer. My criticism for the multiplayer is that I think that the missions take too long. I just think that, like, I would like if they were half the length that they are now, because I feel like each session time is just too long. But overall, I had fun playing the game.
It's been a long time since I played a game that felt so consumable.
Yeah.
A game that once I started playing it, I never once thought of whether or not I'd actually have the time to finish it, how long it would take me to finish, if I would fall behind in content or forget mechanics if I walked away from it. It's just simple, dumb fun with no strings attached. I remember back in the
I do
old...
think that this will be something that over time will become a problem, because in the same way that, like, Helldivers 2 was really popular for a while because it was very simplistic, I think that Space Marine 2 will not have the same problem that Helldivers does, though, because it actually does have a progression system that is power-based. So, like, Helldivers 2 didn't have a power-based progression system, whereas this game does.
Okay, I haven't played Space Marine 2 yet, but I know, I'm hoping what he means is you level up and you get stronger, because that'd be really cool. I genuinely miss that in a lot of video games, because nowadays it's just go pick up the next strongest weapon and have fun. And you don't really get stronger, you get better at the game, and I don't mind that all the time, but I like a little diversity, you know? Something nice.
360 days of achievement hunting, how most games, AAA or not, were fun, memorable, and easy to consume. Def Jam Fight for New York, Burnout, Need for Speed Most Wanted, King Kong, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, The Darkness, Army of Two, Brutal Legend, none of these games were king of that era, but They were the supporting cast that made gaming feel so damn worthwhile at the time.
That's another good point that he's bringing up, is like every game wants to be your main game. And I think that's like a huge problem that like modern live service has, is that every game requires like a certain amount of time investment per week. And very few games offer like good catch-up mechanics and good mechanics to make players feel like they're not like falling behind whenever they aren't playing the game. Like what happened to me a lot, and this is what's happened.
Okay, I want to cut him off there. I would like them to just start making games that you play and you're done with. Like, why does every game have to be this, play it for 100 years? Like, fucking, like, a good game, just let it be good and let it end. Like, I feel like the same thing with, like, a lot of movies. Like, okay, we're on Fast and Furious 25. Like, fuck. Or the 200 different Marvel movies we have. I'm like, Jesus. Can we just not? Like, just let it end. It's like, I feel like if Marvel had just let the Marvel Cinematic Universe end with Avengers Infinity, whatever one that ended. I haven't watched any Marvel movies since Age of Ultron. Or no, Ant-Man, the original. Because I remember they mentioned the events of Ultron in that, so it's technically newer than Ultron. But I just got so tired of it, and it feels like no one just wants to make one good thing. They need to make it this good thing that also continues for 100 years.
Unfortunately,
I miss having something that had a finite end to it. I miss having that. This is really, really good. I'm satisfied. Whenever I want to play this again, I'll come back to it. And I feel like nothing has that anymore. There's always these constant updates and constantly remaking it. And I really wish someone would make a game, finish it, and just stop. And go make something completely different and have fun with it. I just am so sick of all these companies thinking that their game needs to last for 10,000 years. And I know a lot of fans are going to be against me on this one, like a lot of gamers and stuff, but sometimes it's just nice to just let things be done. Nothing needs to last forever, you know?
With a lot of live service games is that as soon as I get out of the habit of playing them, I stay out of the habit of playing them. And I stay in the habit longer, and it's harder for me to get back into the habit of playing them. Because of like the FOMO, right? The FOMO acts as a barrier, but that barrier goes both ways. It's harder to get out of the game, but it's also harder to get back into it.
So what makes this mission different from the last one?
Well, yeah, there were
because I know that I'm
our fair
behind.
share of garbage games. There were so many middle industry titles of little critical renown that were worth your money and didn't make you feel like every single game that you needed to buy was the game. Sometimes it was good just to play a game.
Yeah.
One of my fondest memories back then was this little-known game called 50 Cent Blood in the Sand, where you played as 50 Cent and the G Unit. You played a concert in the Middle East where you were promised a $10 million diamond-encrusted skull upon completion. Some gang members steal it. Now you and the G Unit are on a mission to go get what's yours.
At least she's excited.
Now that sounds like a video game plot. Holy shit.
You good to go? Last chance to make changes.
I don't even think an anime may be the only other thing that could be that fucking crazy. That's insane. I love it.
Absolute fucking cinema. There you go. Yep, there it is. The GOAT game, base game. Yeah, it's just funny, right? And I think that's another issue is that every game, and this is it's like the theater kid thing that like we were talking about the other day. It's that everybody thinks that they're able to make like their art and put their voice out there and write this like super complex, like nuanced story that everybody is going to respect and understand, and you know they're going to be seen for the artists that they are. It's like basically like the guy that made The Last of Us, the way that dude acts, like I think it's like Neil Druckmann or whatever. That exactly is, I think, what a lot of game developers, like, I think that they want to be, like, directors of movies. It's pretentious. Yeah, it's so fucking pretentious. It's obnoxious. Even though, and the weird thing is that a lot of the stories that are written by people, like, they are some of the least pretentious people, right? I mean, there's plenty of, like, great writers that were not like this at all. So it's just, again, theater kid behavior. That's what it is. Yeah, they want to be seen as an auteur. Yeah, exactly. They want to be seen as, like, an artist. They want to be, like, established and respected. Yeah, Hemingway. I was thinking Hemingway.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just another artist. That is my handle. I hope God kills me if I ever get like that. I don't ever want to be that stuck up. I like making art, but I will agree that my art looks like a kindergarten. Not a kid. Maybe second or third grade. I'll say I'm like second, third grade level. But I am not good at all. I don't really write anything like that. I just want to be successful enough to put bread on the table. Like, if I can make a living and eat off of my art, that's all I care about. I don't ever want to be famous or known for being fucking lunatic. And I think he's right, because you see this a lot in like game journals. They really want to be more of a political journalist. I don't know why they're
Nice. Let's keep it going.
but you look at all these, like, we don't even really want to talk about the video game. They just want to talk about what's wrong with it politically or right with it politically. I just want to shout at them like, hey, just go freaking write politics, because you clearly want to do that. Just go do that. You know,
You're doing
got
well,
YouTube, you got blogs,
but don't
you got
let your guard
all
down.
these things you can go do. Just quit your job and go do
You don't
that.
have to
Because
tell me.
that's clearly what you want to write
Watch
about.
my
If you want to write about video games, write about the video games, care about the video games. Don't do this political bullshit. Of course, them and everyone get, at least in the American Western market, I don't really know where. It feels like Japan makes some really good games. Occasionally they'll kowtow the just woke bull crap that goes along with politics. I don't like politics like left, right, or center. I just don't care. Take them out. Just make art. Just make something that's fun. Why does everything have to be so fucking insanely good?
Hemingway and Tolkien, right? Like, those are my two examples. But yeah. Is ever since Scorsese made the comment that video games can't be seen like movies, developers have been trying to make games more cinematic to the point of actually hiring and mocapping actors? Well, I didn't know this, but actually...
Well, they've been mocapping actors since way back in the 90s for Mortal Kombat. The first 3 games were all he hasn't performed actions or movies. Maybe not mocap, but they dressed up in actual costume and they used those as the reference for the video game. So it was like, this is something that's been going on
Let's keep
for
it
a
going.
very long time in video games. I don't think it's really anything new. It's something they've always used in one form or another.
Motion capturing is really popular, and it's been popular for a really long period of time. But I think it's also the the people that are making these games and writing these games want to be seen like Scorsese or like Steven Spielberg or Christopher Nolan or something like that.
This is a strong one.
Where
I would argue that there are some game producers that do fit that. I feel like I have never pronounced his name. Give me a second. I knew the guy who made Metal Gear. So, nope, that's not right. PGO, that's it. I feel like he fits. I don't think like any other producer like are there a name? He's really the only one I can think of who might fit that movie. But Sakurai, the guy who made Kirby and Super Smash Brothers. I feel like he definitely Masahiro Sakurai. I think he would fit a kind of like the game director like for video games. I'm not even into reading the credits, but I know his name. I feel like if you don't put love into a lot of people, I That would be like the directors of I'm drawing.
Whereas, the funny thing is about it is that, you know who's actually seen that way? Is Kojima. People see Kojima like that, to a larger extent, I would say. And he doesn't act pretentious at all. He says goofy, and he doesn't need to take himself seriously.
Remember, I have not watched this. I was like, yeah, we agree. Yeah.
It's hard though, yeah. It's just so weird.
Let's go.
He's so weird. He is. He's a weird guy. But that's what makes him a great artist. Or it definitely helps. Kojima cares about gameplay first too. Yeah, exactly. He's the most pretentious. You think he's pretentious? I don't really think so.
Yeah.
He's literally the guy who said his video games aren't art. He says them art, but he's respectful because they did put his video games in a museum for art. So I would have to disagree. I don't think he's pretentious at all. I think he's the opposite. He's very reserved. He just does his best to make what he...
Yeah, I don't think so. It's not pretentious in a way that I find obnoxious, at least.
It was a stupid, funny, third-person shooter that had no right being as fun as it was. It adapted mechanics from the club, where bonus objectives randomly pop up, like blow up barrels or get X amount of
this looks
headshots,
really
or
fun.
only use pistols, making you and your friend race to see who can achieve the goal first and rack up a higher score at the end of the run.
It's the same thing about like Metal Gear Rising, where Raiden puts on a sombrero and a poncho, and he...
Oh, I love that mission. He does that and goes into the...
He's going in like a manhole cover, and two, I guess, Mexicans see him, and he's like, adios, amigos, and he just goes down the fucking hole.
Yep.
What the fuck? But it's just funny. It's so good. Yes, it
Dumb
is.
fun. It didn't feel like a game that was being made by a studio that had everything riding on the line.
Yeah.
And it came from a time where, as a player, I didn't feel like everything was riding on every purchase that I made. And I think that's one of the problems that we have today. That feeling of finality with
And by the
everything.
way, this was one of my favorite parts of the campaign. Is like this giant dragon that was like this huge issue that like everybody, like, I was assuming this dragon was going to be the last boss of the game. And then the Dreadnought is like, in the name of the Emperor, I cast you
And I
down.
think that's one of the problems that we
It's
have.
dead. Okay. Nope. That's done.
Today. That feeling of
So
finality
good.
with every purchase. The sense that every single game has to be the one. And it comes from a shift in both the industry's approach and our view of what games are today. This constant...
People want, but to be fair, and like this is something to be fair to game development companies, people want forever games. They want a game that they can invest $1,000 in and feel like they've actually not wasted their time.
So I guess I'm a minority. Fucking stand out. So good with forever games. I just want a game I can play for. Finish. Be like, you know what? I've done everything I can do in this game. It's complete. Put it on the shelf. It's now my collector item. If I want to go back to it someday and feel good and have a little bit of nostalgia, I'll come back to it. Maybe 10. Forever. I just... There's just so much games to play that I hate it when it has that forever game. Then it makes me feel like I need to play it forever and then I can't play the next game. There's just only so much time in the day to do stuff. And if every game makes me feel that I have to play it 10 hours a day, I'm never going to finish it. And I like things when they're done. I like to have a finance for 1,000 hours, but it needs to end eventually so I can go on and do something new and fun and exciting. You know, that's the whole point of making a sequel, is because you finished it and people want more, and then in a few years you make a sequel. You know, and I feel like you're missing that. Everything has to last for fucking ever. And it's so obnoxious. Dang it. And I don't think everything needs to end, like, have a forever game here and there. But not every fucking game needs to be a forever. Just some things end. Yeah. I have the same problem with shows. I honestly, like, NCIS has been going on for so long. None of the original characters are in it. Everyone has been replaced and recapped. And there's so many spin-offs of it. I'm just like, I'm just done. I made some watching it so long ago. I watched a lot of good seasons that had fun with it. I don't care about any new spin-offs because I'm just done. I felt the same way with Law and Order. Sometimes shit can end, you know? Oh, I hate it. I also think that the anime has to get into this too. Dragon Ball Super is really good. Like, God. I don't know if you need it. And another one I really don't propose. I wish they had created something in the same universe, but a different character, maybe a few generations ahead. Just let Shippuden ended very well in my opinion. I know a lot of people hated the ending, but I felt it lasted a little more. There were results, it was after the movie, and Naruto was trying to get married. It just felt like a nice little bow on top. It wasn't the perfect ending, but it was a good, satisfying end to the series. And then they had to end it and ruin everything. Why couldn't they just make something in the same universe with different characters a few generations down the line? Okay, this is the new generation of Shinobi that have to learn.
Well,
Avatar
her
has the same
skills
issue.
are solid.
I really like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I like Legend of Korra. But I will also concede that The Legend of Korra did not need to exist as a show. And this is the same issue I have with the creators' newest show, Dragon Train. The first 3 seasons, maybe 4 seasons, were great. I felt the end before the time skip, that they should have ended the show there. It would have been a great ending. You know, you got a little bit of an ending where people can have their own thoughts, and it's a little open, but it's still tied off enough where everything's satisfied. The dragon gets back to his family. They stopped the evil, and it just felt like it should have ended there. But they've continued, I think, for 2 to 3 seasons after that now. And I'm just like, okay, I just don't care about it anymore. I'm done with it. There's so much stuff that just never ends nowadays, and I just hate it. Just end it and go start something new. You know, take a break, go feed a fish, go walk your dog, do something else. 'Cause holy shit, this doesn't need to continue. So tired of forever stuff. I just wish something would end, and they could end and do something kind of like what the creator Rave Master did. He finished Rave Master and then he made Fairy Tail, and it's technically an alternate timeline that some of the characters show up like Clue, and when he got bored of Fairy Tail, he made Eden Zero, which is a completely different sci-fi setting, but some of the characters, and I just said, I love shit like that. And JoJo's Bizarre Adventure does this really well with the end of the original JoJo universe, and they spin off into a new one with Steel Ball Run. And then it goes to, I think it's 2 parts after that, Steel Ball Run, and it goes into, was it the Mori next? Huh. Because they're on JoJo Land right now, I think, and there's the part before that, I forget what it's called, and it's like a remake of Season 3 with Brilliant Diamond, or Shining Diamond. Brilliant Diamond?
And now it's time for
the Pokemon game messing
news.
with my head.
Hey,
He
everybody in
continues
the
making
lobby
the same
having a
stuff,
good
but he
time?
doesn't
It's
do the
Rico,
same exact
the
character. I think
GB4
Warhammer's really
idol.
good at this too.
It's
where it's
time for
all in
the
the same
latest
universe, but the
GB4
stories are
news
with different
and
characters and
updates.
different people.
Today's
And they may have like
topic
10
is the
books on that
question on
character, but
everybody's
they have such a
mind.
variety
Just how
and a
far
scope
will Meister
in
Jin
their
go?
series that it never really
Meister's
gets
clan
dull
won
like
the
that. Like,
recent
I sit
clan
down and I
battle for
listen
an
to lore
incredible
videos all the
record of
time. I watch
99 consecutive wins. This
someone
is
reads
their
the audio,
5th
I think it's
championship
audiobooks,
in a row.
and they're really, really good.
So far, this builder is
but it never
unmatched
gets
in
stale
GB4.
or old,
Will
and it
anyone
never
step up
feels
to
like, oh
challenge
god, is this
Meister?
ever going to end? Because,
He's
well, the
dominated
broader
the
setting
rankings since
doesn't
the last
end.
server
There is a
maintenance,
finite
but
end to
I'm
each
hoping
story.
we'll see a new
And
star appear to put
it's
him
usually
in
a grim
his
dark
place.
ending because it's a grim
The
dark
next
universe where
event
there's
will
only
be
time for
held
war.
soon.
There is
We'll
no time
have
for anything
all
else.
the details for you as soon as they're finalized.
Unless you're a chaos
so
person and you're
stay
stuck with war,
tuned.
then there's
That's
time for
all
many,
the
many
updates
nasty
I
things
have
that
for
we
you
cannot
today.
talk about on YouTube.
But I'll see you next time
But
for more GB4 news.
If you're going to have a
This
forever
is
thing,
MC Rico
at least have the
signing off.
stories end and have an ending point in that setting. And I think that goes over way better for me. Anyway, that was
Meister
a massive
Jin.
side tangent, but I just
That guy's always topping
so
the charts.
sick of this forever stuff.
And I think that's the problem, is that people
So he's
want
the
these
best
like
there is,
massive,
huh?
extensive, mass scope live service games. But
Why'd
the
you get
companies
so quiet
aren't
all of a
willing to
sudden?
like the companies can't
Listen,
deliver them
I get it.
at the rate
It
that
can
players
be pretty
want them.
intimidating to see someone that far above you in the rankings.
Pressure that
Yeah,
every game needs to be
What?
Every,
massive.
like, and I
No,
think that, like, for
I'm
WoW,
excited
right?
to
Like,
finally learn the name of
people
the guy
want
I
that
need to
game
beat.
that you played constantly.
Come
Like,
on,
how many of
even
you
he
guys did
doesn't
it for
scare you?
Halo 2 or Gears 1 or Smash or
sure, a
like WoW?
little,
Like, WoW is a
but
big one,
mostly,
right?
I'm just amped to have a goal to shoot for.
The only game I've done this
If you're
for
gonna
is
play in a
Minecraft.
game like this,
I
you
have
should
some
be playing to
probably
win. Don't you think so, Tom?
10,000 hours of that game over
Well,
the years.
yeah, but
I mostly
that's a little
exaggerate. I know
easier
I've
said than
covered that.
done.
Jeez, grow some
I played
backbone, will ya?
Warhammer for almost 500 hours.
You know
Not
what I'm
Warhammer,
talking about,
Warframe.
don't you?
My apologies. So it's like there are some games that are like that, but I definitely don't like those
See,
games.
he
Like,
agrees.
everybody had like their own like
I
forever
feel
game.
like you kind of pressured
And I
him
think
into
that's
it.
what every developer is trying to do.
Still counts.
I think what started
Well,
it really
being the
was
best is
WoW
what
for
we're
sure,
aiming for.
but
We're gonna
recently
need
it's
to
been
give it our
Fortnite.
all.
I think Fortnite set the
team.
standard for
Oh,
what
yeah.
live service should be, and
Wow,
every
he's
developer
really
has
serious.
learned all the wrong lessons from it.
Of what games are today. This constant pressure that
It's
every
crazy.
game needs to be a massive hit. To have endless updates.
By the way, I'm a
to
huge
have
Fortnite fan.
Something that demands long-term
See, watch.
commitment.
This is exactly
and
what I was
it's
saying.
led to this feeling. Developers now treat games like services, and players have been conditioned to believe that every purchase is an investment, rather than just a chance to have fun. It's exhausting. Somewhere along the way, we lost the middle ground. Those mid-tier games that weren't trying to be the biggest thing in gaming, but were good, fulfilling experiences that were worth our money.
I think another
Okay, I'm gonna interject here. I also think we lost the mini game, like not mini game, like the smaller stuff. It's supposed to be like a little pocket of fun. Like, because every game now, even like the mobile apps, it's not just play for a few minutes, it's play for hours, hours, hours. Like, I just watched something, segment on Side Scrollers, great podcast for video games, like Flappy Bird's coming back. I think and the original creator wanted it to be a, you know, this thing you pick up, play for a little bit, put back in your pocket. And people were spending hours playing it, and he felt it was bad, so he got rid of it. And I feel like we're missing those type of games that are only supposed to be like play for 2 to 3 minutes, have some fun, you know, maybe 15 minutes here, just little pickup games, or something that would be about this length of your typical chess game that spends like 20 minutes tops, and then you're done with it. I miss Flash games. I recently refound Neopets, Gaia Online, and I've been playing a lot of their mini games. I'm like, you know what? I miss games like this that are just short little bursts of fun for 5 to 10 minutes, and then it's over. And I don't think I really miss having games like that on like my Game Boy, and I feel like phone apps could serve that if they didn't constantly try to last forever. Like, I feel if they created a short story and went like maybe 20 levels instead of 200,000 million never-ending levels in Candy Crush. And I miss that. I miss being able to just play and have a little bit of fun and just be done with it. And I really hope that whenever I make games, I can make those type of games. Those small, short bursts of fun. Maybe at the higher end, maybe like a mid-tier game. I don't want to be this AAA crap that everyone seems to want to mimic. Holy crap. But I just feel like we're missing not just the middle tier games, but even the smaller ones that are not supposed to be anything more than a quick 5 minutes of fun. or an hour or two. Like just I would love to have a game developer have like small team of 5 people. Like you make a game, you make a game, you make a game. It doesn't need to be big, just fun to play for like. It needs to be fun for 2 to 3 hours. Got it? Do the best you can. That doesn't mean take 2 to 3 hours. That means it just from beginning to end, it's fun the entire time. 2 to 3 hours. Play, make whatever you want, make whatever you want, make whatever you want, and just have like 5 different development teams, and they can share with each other and go back and forth, and just be like, whenever they think it's as good as it needs to be, it's done, and then they just release it for like $5 on Steam or something. And I would love to see game developers do something like that, or even like if I can get big enough and maybe have like a developer team on my YouTubes, like that would be so cool. If like my YouTube members, it's not only that you can follow me, but we can actually develop games together and release them together and just have fun. Like I just really miss that. I really want that. I don't miss that because I've never had that. But I want to get back to making games as a form of art and expression and having fun with it. Not everyone has to like it either. Because I feel like when I say that, it reminds me of those freaking idiots who are in the game industry right now. It's like, oh, it's my art. Everyone must like it. You're a bigot if you don't. And it's like, no. You make it for yourself, and whoever likes it, likes it. And then if you make a sequel, you make it for them. You make it for the people who were fans of the first one, and you try to maybe expand it and have fun with it. And make it a little bit better than before, listen to what they say. And I want to do that. I don't want to do what these other people say. Like I really do think video games are a high form of art, because you have the visuals, the auditory, and the feel of it. And it's one of those unique art forms that most people don't consider art, that combines a lot of different media. And I'm a huge mixed media guy. I love using different things to create my art. And I feel like video games are a visual, almost. I'm trying to think of another. It's visual, audio, and almost contextual. Like you can feel video games because of the mechanics and how the character moves, and you can almost touch the art in a way that you can't really do with any other form of media. And I love that. And I would even go to say VR games, or even a more in-depth version of that I would love to get a hold of. I don't even have a VR headset or anything, but I mean, I would just drool over the thought of one day having like a whole group of friends that I could just make video games with, and we don't worry about making the best game. We don't even have to be making the same game. We just have fun and do what we can, and whatever happens. That would be so awesome. It's not necessarily our job, but it's just our hobby, and we're just hobby game designers. I would love to, because you have hobby artists all over the place. Why can't we have hobby game developers? That's it. I'm coining that phrase right now. I'm a hobby game designer. Let's go.
A really good example of that are Enshrouded and Pow World. Both of those games were just pretty, pretty middle of the road good games, like survival games. They were fun, they were honest, they were direct, and they were good. You like every single BR game? I like Fortnite. I think Fortnite is the most dynamic. Even though my favorite BR is PUBG. I don't know. I
honestly can't stand Battle Royale games. It's one of those. It's a fun mini game, but it shouldn't be the main thing of your game. And I have a bone to pick with Fortnite. I actually invested my money in and bought it before it was ever a Battle Royale game. And I'm still salty that they never released a physical copy of the original concept. It pissed me off. I'm sorry. I'll never get over that. But yeah, Battle Royale, it's a nice side game, but I feel like if it's the main thing, it just gets.
I have a lot of opinions about BRs, but anyway, look at Core Keeper, for example. Core Keeper is the exact example of what he's talking about. This game is just a simple base game that's fun to play, and that's it, right? It's a good, fun game, and it is what it is. It doesn't need to be some kind of crazy, massive live service that you have to play regularly or anything like that. It's fun at its core. Guys, I just left the game on overnight a couple of days, haven't put 71 hours into it, okay? I've not played it that much. Yeah, no, I just left the game on. No, the reason why I don't want you guys to think that is I only killed 3 bosses, right? So imagine if I spent 71 hours, I only killed 3 bosses. I'd be fucking garbage. So yeah, no, that's not the reason.
We need to get back to a time where we could simply play a game, we could buy it, play it, and walk away from it feeling satisfied. Not every purchase should feel like a commitment for life.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's good to just enjoy
And like you see this with like people talking about video games now, especially live service games. People talk about their relationship with a video game like it's a person. They're like, yeah, I just had to stop. I couldn't control myself. It just got toxic and I was logging on every day. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you fucking freak?
Yeah, it sounds like they're addicted to cam girls or something.
What? Just stop playing the game. It's like, I was like that with WoW for such a long time. And then as soon as I stopped playing WoW as like my job, I like not like literally as like a streamer, but I mean like just like in terms of like playing it with that mindset, my enjoyment of the game went up massively. Like, I don't have any, like, real, I have negative sentiment. Like, I'm not happy with the direction the game is going in, but I'm not angry about it. I'm not mad. Like, I'm like, okay, it's the same with Diablo 4. Like, Diablo 4 has a patch, and it's, like, not so good. It's like, oh, okay, I'll come back later, right? But every live service game, it's like they want you to feel like it's a fucking marriage.
Who is this weirdo?
And I just don't think that's necessary.
Mr. Gunpla. He's the first person to ever become a pro Gunpla
WoW is
fighter.
not my game anymore. Yeah.
He's retired from battling now, but these days he's a really popular commentator.
It's not your job to work on these games like they're your job. That's actually one of my
What's
biggest
a guy like
issues
that want with us?
a lot of these games, because it
Oh
feels
no,
like
this isn't really
especially
him.
the free-to-play games.
Mr. Gunpla's
that
avatar
you
is
can
for
pay to
sale,
do things
so a
faster.
lot of users
It feels like
have
if you
it.
don't
It's
commit
like a cosplay.
9 to 5 on these things, you're never going to progress.
Aw, way to get my hopes up.
So much. Yeah, it's like one of my biggest
I may
complaints
not be
with
the real
free-to-play
deal,
games.
When you
but
stop
I
being
know my
emotionally
way around
invested into a video
Gunpla.
game, yeah.
Call me Mister.
Your perspective
I use this
changed. You don't want to
costume
give it
help
all your
teach new
time.
players in
Exactly.
my spare time.
You're not as invested in it
Don't
anymore.
be afraid
I
to
know,
come
and
to
I think
me
that's a
if you
good
ever
thing.
need any advice.
Thing for what it is.
Now that you
No
mention
strings
it,
attached.
Yep.
we were
And you know, from
planning
my
on trying
perspective,
this mission
Space
next.
Marine 2 is one
What
of
do you
those
think?
games. I played it, I enjoyed it. I'm going to go back and play more with friends, do some of the PvE.
Another really great example that's kind of
Aha,
recent
smart
is
choice.
Grand Blue Fantasy
That mission
Relink.
is great for beginners.
That's another really great game I'd totally
wow.
recommend.
I know
that
it's just a cosplay,
is just
but
a
getting
good,
complimented
solid
by
game
Mr.
by
Gunpla
itself.
still feels good.
And PvE
Okay,
content
gang,
and stuff like
you
that.
heard
But
it.
outside of that, I
Let's
don't
go
feel
check
like I'm
this mission
committed to
out.
this
Fun
game. I
shitting
don't
on
feel
WoW.
like I'm
Yeah.
locked down or married to it in
Seems
any
like
way.
someone's excited.
And I think
Okay,
that feeling
I'm in.
is coming from the industry itself. I feel like the players, the consumers, can feel the pressure that these studios are exuding on their employees and exuding on these games. And it's because of their mismanagement of money. They're not investing the right way. They're putting way too much into one boat. And if that boat sinks, well, then the studio's done.
Well, it's not even that. It's that they're focusing on things that players don't care about. Like, they're focusing on the way graphics look. Like, there's a lot of things in Space Marine that could have been a lot better.
Yeah, I think he's right there, because I was looking at the new PS5 stuff and comparing it to PS5 Pro versus PS5, and I'm like, it looks the same. It just looks exactly the fucking same. And I have this issue with ray tracing. Like, NVIDIA was releasing a lot of these commercials on my computer of this ray tracing is on for Half-Life 2. Like, dude, without ray tracing, it's a lot better. I think a lot of the time this ray tracing stuff makes it feel over detailed. And this is actually a huge problem with Minecraft builders. When they get started, they continue to add a million different details, and sometimes less is more, and this ray tracing kind of gives me that over textured feel to it, and it looks ugly to me. And occasionally it is a little bit better, I will admit, pardon me, but it's nothing like how shaders change stuff. Like, I'm going to go back to Minecraft. Minecraft, when you play normally versus Minecraft with shaders on, is just such a much different, beautiful game. But this ray tracing stuff it's not as big of a leap forward as I would say in any way, and I almost feel like it's a gimmick similar to the blast processing and Nintendo's Sega War about, oh, our stuff's better than their stuff. Sega does what Nintendo and Nintendo always came out with an FX chip, I think it was, and it really didn't change much of the console. There was some minor improvements, and this just feels like that. And I think he's right that a lot of people are focusing more on making it look more realistic, which will never be as good as if they actually focused on making a fun, interactive game and not making it too long or too short.
In terms of like just different types of designs, etc. But it doesn't really matter because the vibes of the game are very good and you feel good playing the game. And I think that's one of the really, like, actually, you know what? I think that matters a lot more than even what I'm saying. Because, yeah, when I play Space Marine 2, I feel good playing the game. When I play Star Wars Outlaw, I feel like I'm at work. Like, I stream every day because I love streaming. And I remember the day that I was streaming Star Wars Outlaws, I was thinking back to myself, I was thinking, is this what it feels like to have a job? Wait, so people have to do this 8 hours
Yeah, I
a day?
hate that feeling.
And I'm like sitting there thinking about this fucking shit, and I'm losing my mind. Head and heads, yes. It was something, yeah, like, is this, yeah, and I have to drive to this place just so I can sit here and play this game? It's nuts.
And
vibes matter a lot.
That way. You know, I've seen a lot of people talking about game prices and how they need to go up again.
Yeah.
Talking about $100 and things like
The fuck? I haven't heard anyone say something like that. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. No. I would say, I would disagree. Prices need to go down. And not only do they need to go down, but I think the budget for a video game should be a little bit tighter. This happened with the new Deadpool and Wolverine movie, Deadpool 3. Ryan, I don't know if it's true or not, but Ryan Reynolds was offered a much larger sum, but he cut it and only asked for a little bit less than that because he noticed in the original Deadpool the reason they made it so good because they had to be more creative on a smaller budget. And I really think that's one of the biggest issues for the video games nowadays, especially for bigger developers, is they're not being creative. They just say, oh, go hire them and do this, and they're constantly just paying more people more money to do this. And a lot of it floats that just, it's like fat on a whale. It just needs cut off and, you know, it'd be a lot healthier, or like, it just needs to be cut down. It just sucks so much. I honestly feel like there's just too many people involved in it. Too many cooks in the kitchen, so it just comes out bland, disgusting. I would really like to see a tighter team on something, and just have like maybe 5 or 6 people in each department work on the game, rather than the hundreds of people.
Thanks.
The constant.
I mean, whatever. I could have handled it without you. I almost had him.
I don't know what the term is. I want to say mercenaries because they're hired on. They're not actually employees of the company. Contract workers, maybe it's what the proper term is. And then they get laid off at the end of the project because it's typical for contract workers. You finish, you're done. You gotta go find work somewhere else now. I feel like if they just didn't hire any contract workers, hired only people inside the company and cut down on, you know, who does what, they make such better product. Because more money does not always equal a better product at the end of the day. A lot of the coolest shit online, no one had money to put into. Like, there are so many wonderful animations that were made on some of the most old, dusty hardware. And then you go see the newest Disney Pixar movies in theaters, and it doesn't even compare. It is so much better. I watched so many animations here on YouTube, and they blow out most of the professional done work out of the water. I'm just saying. Like, one of my favorite things, like in the beginning of this podcast, is we watch Chicken Nuggets. One of my favorite little things. Now, that is actually owned, I think, by a bigger company, and they do shorts, but it's such a simple thing. It's a small little project. It looks good. I really wish they cut down on people. I don't think we need more expensive games. I don't think we necessarily need more people on the team. I think what it really does, we just need to trim the fat and every way possible and be as tight knit as you can and as niche as you can. And I think that's how you're gonna make good shit. And but they'll never do that because they don't know how to manage their companies.
Like that. $70 is a lot of money. And I think that's also on the side of the players. We feel the pressure because we're spending so much money on these games in the first place, but there's no flexibility there. I'm on the side asking for more flexibility. It's one of the reasons why I mostly buy indie and AA and single A games is because there's a lot of price flexibility there.
A perfect score.
More times
Are
than
you
not,
some sort of
I end up
new
getting
type?
a way better deal for the money that I spend. I've spent like $15 on Core Keepers. I put like over 100 hours into it.
Yeah, I'm, you know, again, not at 70 actually. I'm probably at about like 20 or 30 hours at most into Core Keeper. And I definitely got way more money out of this game than I did out of Star Wars Outlaw.
Yeah, and I'm the same way because I can't afford games. What I do is I go to GameFly, I rent my games, and if I really, really like it and I want it, I get it at a massive discount. And I love GameFly for console games. What I do on Steam is I put it on my wish list, I wait for it to go on sale, then I buy it. I never buy full price games. Ever. I will always buy second-hand used. Well, also the thing is I sell my games on my store if I don't like them and I have a physical copy. I do have an online video game store I sell. It's a small thing. It doesn't make me a lot of money, but it's fun and it makes me some money back. So I don't want to have to go spend $60 and then go sell a game for $30. That's ridiculous when I could buy a game for $30 and then sell it for $25 later on because prices go down and stuff. And I don't have money for a $70 game every month. That's insane.
And out of many other AAA games as well. It's like a lot of games that play well don't necessarily have to be these AAA massive experiences. You played Dave the Diver? No, I watched S-Fan play it a lot, but I didn't play it myself. And 4 games for $70 when not AAA? Yeah, Astrobot. Like, I haven't played Astrobot yet, but I will. I'm trying to see if there's like another example of a game that's kind of like this. But I feel like in general, my experience is that I'm trying to think a good way to put it. I think that big studios, their business model doesn't work unless you hit a home run. And I think that business model can't last. Because eventually you're going to have something that underperforms. And when you heavily invest this much into individual projects, you will eventually hit a speed bump and fall off.
Yeah. He's right.
I spent $5 on Terraria at one point.
Yeah.
I have like 1,200 hours in that. So I want to see more flexibility in experiences and in prices, and we just don't seem to have that as much as we used to.
Yeah.
I desperately want to go back to the days of junk food games, where even from some of these AAA studios, they would put out games that would be more like middle-tier releases than anything else, and Space Marine 2 kind of feels like that. Don't take any offense to this. I know some people are going to be up in arms about it, but this doesn't feel like a Game of the Year candidate because it's not doing anything extravagant or incredible or different than anybody else other than the fact that it's using themes that apparently people are...
It has male characters in it, which is different than most other modern games nowadays. But other than that, yeah, he's right. In terms of game mechanics and gameplay, yeah, Space Marine isn't massively innovative or anything like that.
Oh, hi, mister.
Yep.
Nowadays,
Right.
but
I
with
did
that
pretty
said,
well too, didn't I?
it's just a good game. It's just a damn good game, and that's it. And it's worth the money.
Always do.
I'm sick and tired of games that are coming out.
And you know what I'm sick and tired of? I'm sick and tired of people judging games based off of how long they played the game and the value. I hate
I
that.
guess.
Don't worry.
Right, I hear this comment all the time. Oh, it's not. You can't really say what you want about the game.
You know what I
unless you beat
mean?
it. I fucking
Being able
hate
to
that.
fend for yourself is
I
good,
do
but your
think
true
if
strength
you
will be
want to
how well
review
you
a
work
game
together with your clan.
commercially,
This
you
will
do need to play the
become
whole
even
game,
more
because you're giving a full
important as you
review of
make
the
new
full
friends and your
experience of the
clan
game.
grows larger.
But if you just want to say what you
Good
think about the
point.
game as a
I'll
consumer,
remember that.
I think as
Farewell,
long as
then,
you've
and good
if you
luck.
watch it, you can say what it looks like. You can't really say what it plays like. You may be able to say like your opinion on it, but I feel like that's acceptable.
What is it, bud? Is something bothering you?
And if you play the game and you don't like it, you can say, hey, I didn't like it, I didn't play much of it, it just sucked. Because there's a lot of games nowadays that I played that I was like, you know what, just not feeling. Gundam Breakers
Right, that
4
was kinda
is a game I'm playing a
strange.
lot now, but
Not
when I
much we can
first
do
got
about
it,
it,
the
though.
first hour of the game, I was like,
You're
oh my
more of a
God,
worrier
this
than I
is-
thought,
sucks.
bud.
Let me play the game. Because it was
I kinda
handholding
like
me,
that.
like most games do. It
Maybe
is
I will report it
really
after
bad
all.
at that, and the
I
story
do
is
wonder
very
why Mr. came up to us
cookie
specifically,
cutter,
though.
but
There are
the
plenty of other
reason you want
beginners
to buy
around.
this game is to make your own Gunpla,
I don't
and
know,
then
maybe he
fight
just
with
likes
it.
us.
And that
Or
it does
he could be
really
helping
well. Custom
them
parts,
while we're
colors,
doing our
you can even
missions?
pose them in different
I
settings,
don't
and
know.
backgrounds.
If you ask me, that
Fantastic for that.
Mister is a
It
bit of a
does
mystery.
suck on the storyline, but that's just what it is. It's an anime game. Not a lot of love was put into that story. I'm just telling you that right now. I will do a full review of that in the future.
And now it's time
But-
for TV4 News.
I have had so many people.
there.
Like I hate Call of Duty. I think it's the dumbest thing ever. And I have an opinion on it. And there are so many people who give me shit. Like, how can you say that if you never played it? I'm like, I played Call of Duty 3 back in, and I did like Modern Warfare 1 and 2. Those were fucking fantastic games. But it's my same issue that I have with Pokemon nowadays. There's just too many with no real change. I loved Pokemon Legends because that changed everything about it. I do not care for the modern Pokemon games. Sword and Shield sucked ass in my opinion. Violet and Scarlet are pretty okay. They're not the best, they're not the worst. I really like the open world. It's a lot like Arceus. But I hear so many people have this opinion that if you didn't play the game all the way through, you can't say anything about it. I'm like, yes, I can. I played some of it. All right, and I can even say if I see gameplay and I'm like, hey, that doesn't look like fun to me. I can say that. I don't have to play the game to know that it doesn't look fun. So I am tired of this type of mentality that they're talking about. That you have to play it to review it and stuff. And like, you can give your opinion.
Because what that does is that tells developers, oh, you want more collectibles. Okay. And it's like you loot something and it gives you an achievement and then it says 1 out of 500. And it's like,
Kill me now. That's what I would be like. Kill me now.
Feel like they need to be the
You know?
that need to send a message, that need to change our minds, they need to tell these extravagant stories and do something that nobody's ever
Nope.
done before. Well, I do think there's a place for those games, and I still want to see those
Local
games. The
proceeds.
problem is that almost every single game feels like it wants to be that game now, and there's just not enough room for it, or creativity for that matter. Yeah, I'm looking at you. You know who you are.
there's a lot of them.
Anyway, that's all I have for the video. I want more games like Space Marine 2. I want more junk food, and I'm not afraid to say it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends.
Yeah, he's right about all of
Follow me
this.
on Twitch. I'm trying to get to 10K followers. I got 100K here. Let's get a 10K there. Come on, man. Figure it out. Anyway, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe, my friends, and hail the Emperor. Peace.
I could not agree more with this
That was a
fucking
little
video.
cringe.
I really like, I'm gonna be honest, guys. I feel like,
That is pretty
especially, I think that the allergic to stoicism thing, like, that just hit me so hard. Because,
That's why Master Chief was so cool. It's like he's a
Yeah, because you never saw his face. You never saw his face or anything. He's just this. He'll respond. He'll even kind of have fun with Cortana. But he was this serious dude. He was just this stoic figure, and I liked that a lot. And I think that's one of the main reasons why everyone loved him.
badass guy. He knows what the hell he's doing. He's smart. He's competent. He doesn't act like a
is the
pussy,
mission deck.
etc. Right? So your piece of it, yeah, exactly, right? The silent MC, yeah, and it's all this like self-indulgent emotional bullshit
This
that's
is
like
the
so
mission desk.
obnoxious. Like, yeah, give the video a like. This is, I completely fucking agree with this. And I hope to see more games like Space Marine 2. And I think that after the success of games like Space Marine 2 and also, what do you call it? What's the other one that's like that? Helldivers. I think that we will see games that really capitalize on that audience. And I think that you're always going to have like the negative.
Good.
I was
You
hoping he'd have. Okay, there it is.
UFC
That's the original video.
306.
Oh,
Buy it on.
I need to get YouTube Premium. This shit sucks. Video. Yeah, there we go. I'll like it, and I'll link it to my videos. Whenever I make this podcast, I'll link his video there too, because he did watch it. And I'll link Yasmin Gold's video.
all right.
Activity about how it's like toxic to do that or whatever. But
We
at the
just
end of the
have to
day,
defeat
if a
each
game
wave of
sells
enemies,
copies,
same as
I think
last
that's
time.
what's going to matter the most.
Pretty simple.
Imagine if Space Marine 2 added LGBT colors
Oh,
or
did we?
flag. I don't think people would really care about that. Like, people don't really care about the representation. They care about the attitude of the people that put in representation. Because usually representation in video games is something that comes naturally. Like, if...
Okay, I actually have something to say about this. It wasn't in video games, but there's really good representation of Dragon Prince, the Tin creators who did Avatar. They're really good at putting like this diverse quota stuff and making a good story. There is so many different characters in those series that are fantastic, and you know that they're trying to fit that quota, you know. But they've always
We're in
kind of
the
done that with
groove.
their characters. I mean, look at the original Avatar. You got basically the Chinese and the Earth Kingdom. I always felt like Fire Nation was very Japanese oriented, and then you got the Inuit tribes, like of
Once
the
we
water
clear these
tribes.
guys,
But even
it's time for the
within
boss
those
fight.
communities, everyone was
can't wait.
diverse in their actions, how
Wait.
they treated each other.
What's
And
that?
there was always
Is someone else here already?
different types of people.
Can we
I feel
join
like
an
they really
in-progress
do
battle
a
in
good job
this
at telling a
mode?
good story. No one would really
Oh,
care about
man,
that.
we're
That would
getting
work in
stalked.
video games too.
What should we do, buddy?
If they made a good game,
You really want to
and
go
didn't
help
have
them?
to point out this
Seriously?
diversity shit all the time, and it's just
All
good
right.
characters.
If you're sure,
I think
I'm right behind
they-
you.
No one would even care. We just want good stuff. It's a very similar problem with a lot of Christian movies and Christian created stuff, because they're always trying to deliver a message, not deliver a good story. Where you got a lot of this winking at the camera or looking at the camera like, Jesus loves you. And it sucks so much. Because I'm a Christian, I am
Ooh,
a
you having a
ordained
rough time there,
minister.
bud?
I preach,
Oof.
but
How do you
I
do
will
without
admit,
the
like,
attitude,
this stuff
jerk?
fucking sucks
You're a
whenever
girl?
they make it. It's a lot of these types of diversity, inclusion stuff feels like they're preaching the religion to us, and I'm like, don't really want to hear it. You know, I'll go to church on Sunday if I want to hear it preached, but I'm here to have fun, and we need diversity in life. We don't need to constantly preach that.
Whoa,
Nothing, everything
I didn't
has
think
to
it'd
be
be that
a
big.
lesson that needs to be
Can we
learned.
really handle this
Just
thing
let's
by
have fun
yourselves?
and enjoy it.
If you look at a lot of old video games and you look at, you know, for example, like go to Evo or go to like a gaming convention, you're going to see a lot of diversity there. You're going to see like how many of you guys played an online video game
Look at that
and,
thing.
you know, your
Think you can handle
clan,
it,
your
guys?
squad, your team was not comprised of all people that looked like you, right? Now, it might have all been guys, for example, but it could have been a guy from the Middle East, a black guy, a Hispanic guy.
And that's why actually I really like this, and when you stream, the people who view your content, they're from all over. I've had people join in the stream that are from Germany, from South Korea, lots of people from UK and Canada, which are very different countries from the US. I don't care who you are. They are very different countries. And I
Oh,
think
thank
that's
goodness. That was
and
close.
I've had a lot of different people I've met doing YouTube for the last 11 years this December. So I've been doing this a long time. I can't believe it. I've actually been doing this since 2013.
Dang, look at that score. That was perfect.
Anyway,
A guy from Brazil, some shit like that, right? Like anything. And so that's always been how it was. That's a good thing. It is. It's a very good thing. And that's normal. And so when you try to force something that happens naturally, the kinds of people that feel like they need to force it are the ones that understand it the least. And I think that's the problem that a lot of games have when they try to push like different types of like diversity stuff, is that they're the ones that understand it the least, and they're the ones that have the weirdest and most contrived views on it. I played Terra and my entire guild was on. Well, like in general, right? I mean, like, and you would get very used to this. Woke YouTubers. Is Bellular woke? Oh God. I'm not gonna look at this right now. I think it's funny. And yeah. Anyway, the gay character with an attitude, remember what they took from us? Yeah. And it's like, if you have characters that are like that, I think that it's just very, very exhausting. It is very exhausting because the people that push that kind of stuff are just simply not... They're just not interesting. They're not funny. They're boring, right? I hate the fucking flag. I don't care about, like... I mean, again, I don't think anybody actually cares about a lot of, like, representation. And what I mean by that, by anybody cares, is that...
Good.
I don't think that people have like a. Let me think of. I want to figure out a way to say
Let's
this.
deploy right away. You'll be fine as long
I
as you
don't
remember
think that
what you
people
learned in the
view it as a
tutorial.
negative, but the people that try to push it make it seem like a negative. And I think that they do it in a way that's like self-aggrandizing, and it comes off as extremely inauthentic. So like whenever you see a character, like, and this, I see this all the time. It's like, oh yeah, this is this super progressive developer that like added a black character into the game, and it's like special abilities that it runs
We
fast,
just have to
or it
defeat
has some
each
other
wave
like
of
black
enemies, same as
stereotype.
last time.
This is ridiculous.
Pretty
Like, how
simple.
the fuck do you do this? And that's the problem, bro. No, I mean, like, really, like literally. And by the way, that wasn't a random example. That was the Concord character. That was her.
It's either that or they have like lightning powers, and I don't know if it's because of static shock or black lightning from back in the day, but they always can either run really fast or they have lightning-based abilities, and it feels like it's racist in a very weird way. Like, I don't mean it, and I know that word is overused nowadays, but it feels like it's somehow just stereotypical racism. That's what it is. And I don't mean like it's stereotypical that, yeah, they're being racist and stereotypical. I mean, the stereotype, they're using a stereotype of that race. So there's probably a better way to say that. I'm sorry, it's really shitty. But I just hate that. So I see where he's coming from. It's almost like, it reminds me of the sketch that Fluffy did where he made the most racist gift basket ever and gave it to one of his friends. If you know who, Gabriel Iglesias. Probably. And the big fat guy with the 5 little fat.
Her special ability. Lightning poses, bro. What? Yes, it's just, it's weird, man. It's so fucking weird. Rabon in Final Fantasy 14 was Giga Chad? Yeah. I care, it was straight up bullshit. They remember not like for gay people. By default, the little characters were all straight, and I like that game. I don't think people really care a lot about the sexual. The people that care about sexualities of video game characters are not the people that are probably playing the characters or playing the games. They're mainly just people that are looking for a reason to complain or get mad.
Yeah. Or they're Rule 34 artists.
Video about best WoW features every expansion? Well, I don't know. I'll look and see if there's anything else I was going to look at. Oh.
Once we clear
I don't know if
these
this is
guys,
going to be any
it's
good.
time for the boss fight.
But I do want to watch
can't
this. Basically, a loud minority, which doesn't reflect in sales.
What's
Well,
that?
like, my point that I'm making is
someone
that...
else here already? Can you join an in-progress battle in this mode? Oh man, they're getting stomped! What should we do, buddy? You
I
really
guess
want to go help
I'll
them?
say it. I'll say it.
Seriously?
I think that a lot of the people that
All right.
write characters
If
like
you're
that
sure,
don't actually
I'm right
interact with
behind you.
minorities at all in real life, and they probably grew up in like sheltered, privileged, upper middle class lifestyles, and so their ideas of minorities are stereotypes, and so the only way that they can understand interacting with minorities is through the inverse of the stereotypes that exist. So it's like you're basically, you don't have a lot of experience with like actual people of this group, So instead of that, you kind of create what you think a person from this group would act like. Does that make sense? It's out of touch. Yeah, that's the way I view it.
Yeah. I think he's right, because I actually have a roommate who sadly has very little interaction with people of any other race or ethnicity. And he's not rude to them, but he kind of acts weird around them. And I don't think he's being rude or disrespectful, he just thinks they're an other and responds accordingly in a weird way. Like he's trying to be like inclusive, but he's not really awful. And I've actually had a boss who's like really bad. And I guess I can tell you. I was in a cell phone repair workshop, sitting down doing some cell phone repairs, and the boss was sitting next to me, and a black person came in and sat down and he needed his phone fixed. And the whole time we're fixing his phone, the boss is... So I'm like, yeah, I have a black nephew, yeah, his race is good with me, and everything's cool, and he was like, oh, there was one time I tried to rap, and my kid's friend said I was great at it, and I told the story of how he made this big rap thing, because he listened to rap, and he said, I could do that, and he did it, and he made his daughter's friend say he was good at it. I'm like, holy shit, are you insane? He didn't even say he likes rap. Like, you don't even know this guy. He's like trying to be like, yeah, I'm like cool with you and stuff. And I'm like, dude, he's a person. He's not a character. He's a person. Just talk to him and be cool with him. And I'm just like, shit, dude. Boss was great. I love the guy. He's a good dude. But those overreaction types just freaks me the fuck out when I write it. It's really cringe. It's almost like when a nerd tries to talk to a girl who's never really talked to a girl before. And they're really weird, quirky, and they just don't know how to talk. And it comes off really bad. Almost like the beginning of this podcast. I've never really done it before. No one's comfortable pausing the video and talking. And now I've done it a little bit. I'm good with it. And it may not be that they're trying to be uncomfortable, is because they don't have experience with that group trying to create something here very all they can do is go off the stereotypes they've seen in cinema. It reminds me of someone who learns how to speak a language by watching movies or interacting or pretending to be a character. You know, you may learn the language, but you're going to talk in a really weird, out of touch kind of way.
Brainwashed by weird teachers in liberal colleges? No, I don't think that's the reason why. I think these are people that don't really have a lot of friends and are like kind of the Killmonger haircut, etc. Right? Yeah. And it's like, I just, they watch too much TV. Yeah, they're like socially retarded, basically. Yeah. Which is how racism is born. Right. Well, these people are racist. They just don't realize it.
Yeah, I think maybe that's a little... No, I probably agree, because what I said earlier, I think that I would have to agree with that statement. They are probably racist, not necessarily in an evil way, but in a ignorant way. They don't really know what they're doing, and they come across really insensitive. Rather ruin to their art. I know. Warhammer 40K.
Where I met these guys, X and P, who showed me around. After a quick bike ride across Bangkok, I ended up here, the legendary war games, composed this amazing
that looks awesome.
Where I met these guys,
wicked.
X and P, who showed me around. Inside, it was clear I was a nerd head. They had amazing and inspirational displays, like this title, covered in a map.
Oh, that is so cool. The Imperial Command's on the shoulder there. That is awesome. Or the Emperor of Mankind. What did I say the Imperial? Look at that eagle. That's fucking
Or this to help hobbyists pick their colours. And retro codices from old editions, relics from Warhammer Fantasy. And if that wasn't enough, they had a homemade animatronic Trigon bursting through the wall, protecting a full range of paint supplies.
That is cool. Alright, I don't really like those painters. Citadel paints are kind of the most overpriced crap. And they're not awful paints, but they're definitely not my paints. I do not like them. I feel like Walmart acrylic paints are better than the Citadel stuff. And Walmart paint's not really good. But it's what I can afford for like about the same quality as Citadel. And I've probably just angered a lot of miniature fans. But I do not
More cool displays, Titus and Gabriel Angelo. X then showed me the outdoor dining area and took me upstairs. This ominous door carved with the Imperial Aquila, and behind this door, an incredible gaming space.
That's what if I ever get a physical space, I would love for my place to look like that. That looks fucking
They had an
fantastic.
excellent selection of tables and trays, and all those cabinets at the back were space for regulars to store their armies. Hit subscribe for part 2 to see how I spent the rest of my...
I'm gonna save this for an ideas for a shot. Like, that would be freaking epic. Actually, I'll save it up here. It's bookmark. Oh, honestly, it would be on ideas. Yeah, that's gonna have some pretty cool ideas right there. I really want to open up my own physical store, and I really want to live stream this podcast in the future. And I want to give it the feel of like you just walked into my store, and this is what I'm doing for the day. I'm making art, you know, watching some videos, having some fun, playing some games, talking to people, selling stuff. You know, and I really want that. I'm doing this as a video first, just to kind of get the feel for it, figure out how I want to do it, and have fun with it. But yeah, so I liked his video, and Asmund Gold's video is great. I do not know how long this is going. I'm going to stop this segment. Oh shoot, we're